Or yesterday, we celebrate the 9th anniversary of the official adoption day of Sierra, Jeremiah, and Devonte. We celebrate all things in this family. These were the beautiful last words of Jennifer Jean Hart before she tragically took the lives of herself, her wife, and her own family members. This is the shocking, revealing murder case about the Hart family from March 26, 2018. Let's go back to that day on March 26, 2018 in Mendocino County, California, United States, before Sierra, Abigail, Jeremiah, Devonte, Hannah, and Marcus were tragically killed when Jennifer decided to deliberately and drove their SUV off a cliff. But why would two beloved mothers kill their entire family? This did not fit with the image that the family conveyed on Facebook. From the outside, their cozy, split-level home seemed like a happy home. But from the inside, everything was wrong. The cliff was exactly the kind of place where Jennifer Hart liked to take pictures of her children for Facebook. It's located along California's Highway 1, with a green edge and gravel strip leading to a dramatic 100-foot drop into the Pacific Ocean. Under different circumstances, on previous trips, Jennifer and her wife Sarah might have stopped on the side of the road and positioned their children as they often did, with their backs to the camera, hands raised in gestures of peace as a colorful sunset framed their silhouettes. The family consisted of Marcus, 19, Hannah, 16, Devonte, 15, Abigail, 14, Jeremiah, 14, and Sierra, 12, two sets of biological black siblings adopted by two white mothers. Together, they formed a remarkable family, often referred to by friends as the Hart tribe. But on March 26th, the photo wouldn't look like the many other photos taken on countless family trips. The image that influenced the world that day showed the Yukon family on the rocks beneath the man-made viaduct, badly damaged after the fall. When rescuers descended the cliff, they found the bodies of 3 children, along with those of Sarah in the back of the SUV and Jennifer in the driver's seat. Autopsies revealed that diphenhydramine, an ingredient commonly found in allergy medications such as Benadryl, was present in the bodies of Sarah and 2 of the children. Jennifer's blood alcohol level was above the legal limit, and no one wears a seatbelt. Analysis of the car's onboard computer revealed that Jennifer had stopped on a gravel path about 70 feet from the edge of the cliff. Then she accelerated until the car free-falled. 10 days later, the county sheriff charged, "I've gotten to the point where I no longer call this an accident. This was a crime." Back at the Hart's home in Woodland, Washington, some 600 miles further north, Dana DeKalb had yet to hear about the gruesome details. But when she saw the images of the wreck on TV, she immediately said to her husband, "Those are our neighbors. But first we need to understand what happened in those crucial days before the shocking car crash." Dana DeKalb, a down-to-earth 58-year-old, tracks her steps with a Samsung smartwatch when she's not talking to her 2 adult children. 20 years ago, she and her husband Bruce moved from a California cul-de-sac to this quiet area in the foothills of the Cascades, with clear views of Mount St. Helens. Their days usually consist of braving the rugged nature of Washington, followed by an adventure on the jet ski or in the kayak. At the end of last summer, their peaceful retirement life was abruptly disrupted when a small, anxious girl, wrapped in a fleece blanket, rang the doorbell at 2:30 in the morning. When Bruce opened the door, he saw that there were twigs in her hair and that her front teeth were missing. Panicking, the girl said she lived next door and had jumped from a second-floor window. "Hide me," she begged. "They hit us with a belt." In the 3 months since the new neighbors had moved in, the DeKalbs had never seen any children playing in the yard. However, they did exchange greetings with Sarah Hart once when she got out of her car to introduce herself, while Jen stayed behind the wheel. Now, this young girl, darted past Bruce, ran up the stairs and burst into the bedroom where Dana was sleeping. "You have to help me! Please protect me! Don't let me go back!" she pleaded, waking Dana. "They're racists and they're mistreating us." Soon, flashlights flashed across the front yard, accompanied by voices shouting, "Hannah!" shouted. There were several children and 2 women at the front door. Without asking permission, Sarah and Jen walked into the DeKalb's house and searched every room before going upstairs. There they found Hannah curled up between the bed and the dresser. Jen immediately took charge, and Dana, still sedated, she said, from a herbal supplement she had taken for insomnia, agreed to leave mother and daughter alone in the room for a while. A minute later, Hannah came down the stairs, staring straight ahead. "You need to tell these people you're sorry," Jen said sternly. "Yes, Mum," Hannah replied softly. "And you have to explain that you've had a really bad week." "Yes, Mum," she repeated, her voice flat. Dana planned to call Child Protective Services in the morning, but at 6:30 a.m., the DeKalb's doorbell rang. They ignored it. An hour later, it happened again. She opened the door and then 2 p.m., February 19th, 2018. The entire Hart family stood neatly in a row. Both mothers were present, but it was Jen who spoke for almost an hour. She said the children had been adopted and had been drug babies. She added that Hannah was 12 years old and her birth mother had been bipolar. 12? Dana thought as she looked at Hannah, the smallest member of the group. The girl seemed much younger. Jen went on to explain that Hannah's front teeth were missing because she lost them in a fall and didn't want to have them replaced. "Why?" the DeKalbs asked. "Hello," Jen replied with a sharp tone. "We are 2 lesbian mothers with 6 black children." Jen said they moved to Washington to live in a place with a pasture and a chicken coop. It was the children's dream, she explained, to raise animals, grow their own food, and live self-sufficiently. She said Sarah worked as an assistant manager at Kohl's, 20 minutes down the highway. When Jen mentioned that their oldest son, Marcus, was 19, Bruce commented, "You guys are getting ready to see him leave the house." Jen shook her head and replied firmly, "We certainly hope he doesn't leave." Dana gently asked if she could talk to Hannah alone for a moment, but Jen adamantly refused. "We do everything as a family," she stated. At that moment, Hannah handed her a note written in green letters. Dana doubted the note was something a child would write. The phrasing felt coached, as if it came straight from a parent. Still, it introduced a sliver of doubt. What if Hannah was simply a troubled child, prone to fabricating stories for attention? Jen's calm and confident explanations had been so convincing. She sold it well, Dana reflects. She was really good at it. Despite her unease, Dana hesitated to report the incident. Her husband, Bruce, was particularly wary of creating tension with their new neighbors, especially after a years-long property dispute with the previous owner. Bruce doesn't like confrontation, Dana says. However, she eventually confided in her 80-year-old father, Steve Furkovich. 2 months later, unable to shake his own concern, Steve called 911.
1:30 in the morning, the doorbell's ringing, and I answered the door, and she was standing out there with in a blanket. Well, she said they weren't treating her right. Don't make her go back. But
"I just can't stand this," he told the dispatcher. "I believe those children are being severely abused." The sheriff's office contacted the DeKalbs to follow up, asking if there had been any additional incidents. Dana described what she had observed. The children were rarely seen outside, almost always confined to the house. The response she received was disheartening. It's not illegal to keep children indoors. No further action was taken. A spokesperson for the Clark County Sheriff's Office later defended the decision, noting the time lapse between Steve's report and the incident and the absence of new evidence. "There was nothing in that call that screamed urgency," said County Sergeant Brent Waddle. There was nothing we could have done. Later, Dana would learn that Hannah was not 12, as Jen claimed, but 16 years old. By the time this truth emerged, it was far too late to make a difference. On Friday, March 23rd, after 10 visits from Devonte, Dana decided to call Child Protective Services. That afternoon, a CPS worker stopped by the Hart's home and saw Jens Yukon pulling into the driveway. But when the employee rang the doorbell a few minutes later, no one answered the door. She left her business card in the door. The Washington State Department of Social and Health Services reports that they attempted to contact the family 3 times on March 23rd, 26th, and 27th without success. Less than an hour later, Dana and Bruce saw Sarah's Sunfire pulling out of the driveway at high speed. That evening, they noticed that the bright red kayak, which was always attached to the Yukon, had been removed. The next day, the Yukon was gone, and scattered cinder blocks from a retaining wall littered the driveway, a sign of a hasty departure. "I thought, this is getting serious," Dana recalls. She assumed the family had left temporarily. "We knew they were on the run, but it never occurred to me that they needed to be intercepted." Sarah was tasked with opening the doors of Kohl's at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning, but at 3 a.m. she messaged her co-workers, "I'm so sorry. I thought I could come to work, but I'm too sick to go." On Sunday morning, a security camera at a Fort Bragg Safeway captured Jen wearing glasses and a hoodie, paying $20.08 in cash for groceries, bananas, carrots, Chef Boyardee beef ravioli, whole wheat bread, granola bars, and saltines, using her club card for discounts. She was alone and appeared to be about 25 pounds heavier than her friends had ever seen her. Sierra, Sarah, Hannah, Marcus, Abigail, Devonte, Jennifer, and Jeremiah Hart were only under 19 years old when their life was taken. Young children with a lot of hope and dreams. A month and a half after the crash, Dana DeKalb wades through knee-high prairie grass to reach the house next door. Weeks have passed since investigators searched the property, yet so many questions still linger in her mind. Should she have called CPS sooner? Was that call the trigger that set in motion the events that ended with a Yukon over a cliff? Every time the conversation turns to the topic, Dana's voice thickens with sorrow, and tears begin to fall again. If she had called earlier, she wonders, would the outcome have been the same? Who knows, she says. Who would have thought? Maybe the shocking results of this case lies in the results of the investigators that questioned a co-worker. That Sarah frequently received calls from her wife saying the children were driving her crazy. Sarah had confided in colleagues that Jen struggled with depression and anxiety, often staying in bed, crying. As for the hardest question, why, we may never get a satisfying answer. Perhaps Jen, who had the responsibility of caring for 6 children, became overwhelmed. Words that remind us that trust, once broken, can never truly be repaired. In memory of all the deceased and loved ones. Something far worse remained circumstantial. As investigators built their case, Kenneth's behavior grew increasingly erratic. On Christmas morning, 1997, guards found Kenneth White's body in his cell. He had fashioned a noose from his bedsheet, leaving behind no confession, no explanation, no answers for a family desperate to know the truth. The Thompson family vanished without a trace in the summer of 1996. Today, their case remains one of Chicago's most haunting mysteries. No bodies were ever found. No concrete evidence ever surfaced. Just a house with a missing floor, a bathroom painted red, and the echoing question of what really happened on that July afternoon.